Why the Bushbox XL is number 1.
10 wood-burning stoves. 10 wood-burning stoves.
Today I want to show you 10 wood-burning stoves because I think it's very instructive to look at the high-quality ones and the poor-quality ones and just the value-for-money ones. Okay. And they are, from the cheapest one, probably, this is the IKEA cutlery stand that's been fashioned by me into a better wood-burning stove by putting these on the bottom. And you can get those from Wilkinson's very cheaply.
The IKEA cutlery stand is available in Asda at the moment, and the feet can be picked up cheaply in Wilkinson's DIY pick and mix. People cut holes in these to put the wood in the bottom, and there are various sizes of these, and people design different feet for them, as you can see on YouTube videos.
This is the Chinese version of the wood burning stove. It's very light, very light, and its deficiencies are that it has nothing to put on the top. I, however, put this on the top out of a honey stove, and it has no bag either, and I use this honey stove bag with it because they're spare. But at £12, that is fantastic value.
Now notice those holes in the feet. They can be used to soft wire this whole thing together at the bottom, making it much less likely to shake apart, and you can put 10 pegs through those holes to hold it to the ground, and 10 pegs of course can be slid through the holes at the top to take a pan. And it goes without saying that when you're using any of these stoves, if you live in a place like Australia where you might start a fire, you have to take extra precautions to try to prevent this.
This one here cost a little bit less actually, and some man on eBay, it came with a very good bag, but when I got it I realised that all this actually is an aluminium windbreak that he has fashioned. This one here cost a little bit less actually. Wood burning stove, which he would argue could be better used for using as a stove using alcohol. But I kind of done my money with that, but it's okay for the price, which I think it was £10 or something like that. This one is wood gas stove, and it comes apart very easily and packs away very nicely, and also it has its own bag. That is a real value for money wood burning stove, though these aren't too easy to use with pans. They're quite good.
There are about 3 different tops for this type of wood gas stove, but I think perhaps the one I bought is the one that is best for me.
This is, I think, now defunct. It's one of the few that has a door on it that I've ever seen, and it can be carried by these handles, which I think might have been supposed to go at the front. I'm not sure about that. They may have been should have been attached to the front perhaps. It came with its own bag. That was more expensive than some of the others.
TY Fung portable wood stove I originally bought on Amazon, but now it's not available there in England at the moment.
Now this is one of the famous ones, the Solo stove, and this is the small version, and this is highly efficient at burning wood with the rocket stove principle of drawing air up the sides and feeding it into the top of the fire and keeping the wood burning really efficiently so there's less smoke.
The solo stove can be bought with a pot that it fits nicely inside of, and it's packaged well.
This very robust effort here is a Russian stove, and unlike some of the others, has no holes in the bottom for it to breathe. It just folds down. It's another folds down stove, and it's very, very robust. It was not all that expensive, but it was by a one-man maker of these things. It was very interesting.
Just in case they are able to be obtained again, I bought them from Borovici81 on eBay, and these are some of his own photographs from his presentation there. This is quite heavy because it's made of such strong material, and it doesn't pack totally flat.
This is the Hive stove, a British made one, and as you can see it's really quite large in its circumference and girth. And a great thing about this is you can put wood straight into the front there if you're too tired to break up wood, like this one, and the honey stove and the Chinese stove allow you to just put wood in through the front when you're not strong enough to snap it and break it off. Now that's a real survival plus. And this comes with several other parts. I bought a honey stove first, which was smaller. It went around this and had this at the top. And you can also break it down into smaller stoves with these. I ended up with two of these. As I say, I used one on the Chinese stove, and there's one on top of there. They can be bought separately, these pieces, for about £5 or £6, depending if you get the bigger or smaller one. I think this is about 6 and that's about 7, something like that.
Here's a close-up of the small version of it, and this is the honey stove, and this is the Hive stove in action.
And here's a very famous one, the Bushcraft Essentials Bushbox XL, and at the moment it's got a plate in there and on the top for using with an alcohol burner, and it has lots of different things that go with it, and it's a very high class packaging, as does the honey stove.
The Bushbox XL is a real class act and can now be obtained in a titanium version.
Next to it is the smaller version by Bushcraft Essentials of the titanium pocket stove with a little bag that it comes with, and this has a piece that goes with it which can be used to join two of them together to make a bigger stove. So if two of you carry one and you buy this extra piece, you can join them both together.
The pocket stove has its own small white canvas bag, but you can now obtain from Bushcraft Essentials a small black bag which is similar to this Ascolit bag that's shown here. And here's a few close-ups of the stove. Bushcraft Essentials also make a third very tiny little stove. Finally, the famous firebox.
And this is a very, very robust one. It's not quite geometrically square, it's off center the way he does that, and he does that because he doesn't want any play at the sides. I think the whole reason that he's made it this slightly odd shape is to avoid any ash falling down the side, which is very conscientious of him, but slightly irritating because of how disjointed it all can be. Comes with its very own bag, as I say, very high class, lots of things that slip into it which you can buy.
And here's a few close-ups and aerial views of this very brilliantly engineered stove. The very latest version of the Firebox has several new features, including these useful looking side feed slots.
Once again, there's all 10 of them side by side. Some very cheap, some very inexpensive, some very high class. And you would have to make your decision concerning how much weight that you would want to carry. Now, my own verdicts on these are going to be controversial, and I know not everyone's going to agree with what I say.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The Bushbox XL is number 1.
Well, at the moment, that's what I think. The reason there is a survival section in my JesusandBible.com website is that there is a prophecy in Revelation chapter 13, the last book of the Bible, which says that a mark 666 will appear at the end of the age, the mark of the Antichrist, and Christians are very clearly forbidden, totally forbidden, to take this mark. And it says we cannot buy or sell if we do not have the mark. This may mean that some of us may be forced into survivalist situations, in which case it would be very good to know about things like survival stoves.
JesusandBible.com. Just press the survival button.